It's alright.
Oh my god!
So, you just got Borderlands 3, and maybe you're stuck at this screen deciding which Vault Hunter is right for you, or maybe you're not sure if you made the right choice, or it's your third time playing through the game and you still can't decide. Today's video is going to be going in depth with each of these characters, discussing their strengths and weaknesses, their playstyles, their leveling, and their endgame viability. My name is Moxsy. I'm a Borderlands 3 YouTuber and content creator, and I focus on making builds and guides for these characters to max out their potential at endgame. I have a lot of experience with this game, and if you're arriving and watching at this video, you're in good hands. With that, let's get into the video. So, before we discuss these Vault Hunters and which one's the best, which one's the worst, I want to say that all of these characters at endgame are very viable with the right gear and are all a lot of fun to play. This game receives a lot of balance changes, nerfs and buffs and fixes to these characters. Zane at release, for example, was one of the worst characters and is now one of the best. Flak was one of the best and is now a lower tier character. So before you go on with this video, pick a Vault Hunter that you think fits your playstyle or interests you or intrigues you the most, because there will always be a changing meta. Now with that, I have organized a tier list or a ranking system of these characters' leveling ability, their endgame viability, and the gear requirements to make them work the best. For the star ratings, more stars means better, so a gear requirement of 5 stars mean that they don't really need much gear to work well, versus a gear requirement of 1 star would mean that you need a lot of gear to get them to work well. And with that, let's get into our first Vault Hunter, who is Amara. Now Amara is our first Vault Hunter. Here is her graphic. Amara is great at leveling, great at endgame, and not very gear dependent. Now Amara is going to be your siren character in this game, meaning that she has magical powers and is going to be your wizard slash sorceress slash AoE magical archetype character. She has a awesome leveling experience due to easy and accessible lifesteal and healing skills. Now in this game, as opposed to other Borderlands games, the weapons and gear for healing are limited and are mainly reliant on character skills. So you'll notice a trend that characters that have easy access and good healing perform better, because when it comes down to it, all of these Vault Hunters can do a ton of damage. What limits them is their survivability. Each and every one of these Vault Hunters can do a ton of damage. Now Amara is an awesome character because she has multiple ways to achieve survivability, which allows for a lot of build diversity. Her leveling experience is great because she gets easy access to healing and also a skill called Infusion, which can add elemental damage to any non-elemental weapon, which is really nice. Amara has a easy time progressing into the end game and really only needs one class mod to become an absolute beast, which is the Spiritual Driver. What makes Amara different than all the other Vault Hunters is her action skills. Now Amara gets multiple action skills. Most of these Vault Hunters either have 3 or 1. Amara has many, meaning that she starts with Phase Cast, Phase Slam, and Phase Grasp, and going down the trees you can greatly alter these abilities and change them up to your playstyle. Amara is great at doing controlling abilities with Phase Grasp and Ties That Bind to share damage to a large crowd. And at the end game, she has the most powerful Anointment, which is a 300% increase in her damage that activates after she phase slams, meaning that she can do bossing and mobbing very, very easily. So next up we have Flak. Flak is the Beastmaster in this game and is very unique in that he always has a companion as a pet out, and you can pick which companion you want. Now, Flak is going to be in your game the Beastmaster type, but also has an invisibility. So I wouldn't call him an assassin, but more of like a rogue sniper slash Beastmaster character. He has an awesome leveling experience, and when it comes down to it, one of the most powerful skill trees in the game. Flak, as opposed to Amara, has some really great skills, and almost every build of his specs into his red tree. His red tree is going to be his crit tree, and Flak specializes in crit damage. His capstone allows him to crit on anywhere, on any enemy, with any gun, which is crazy. Now, Flak has received some nerfs, and Flak is now in a good place. He is very powerful at the end game, at nuking bosses and enemies, but he really struggles with survivability. It is his biggest downfall. He has a lot of damage that allows him to get through the story very easily, and has enough survivability to get through the story very easily, but transitioning into the late game with him can be difficult due to gear requirement needs and his overall survivability. Once you get Flak there, you can do some absurd damage, but out of all the characters here, he is the one that I had the most difficult, or the most difficult time doing the Malawan takedown, which is a test of your mobbing and bossing abilities. Flak is a glass cannon type character, and if you're interested in playing that, Flak definitely fits that role. His 3 action skills are Gamma Burst, which allows him to make his pet summon larger and gives you area damage as well as healing. He can play a support type role in that. His next skill is Fade Away, where you go invisible, and your next shots crit, which do a ton of damage and synergize really well with endgame on action skill and anointments. Lastly, his third tree, he summons Rex. If you played Mordecai in Borderlands 1, he's similar to that, where he summons Rex. These Rex can heal you and freeze enemies, which is very nice. Overall, Flak is a great character to get through the game with, and really awesome at endgame, but struggles the most out of any of these characters with survivability. So next up, we have Zane the Operative. Now, Zane at launch was probably the weakest Vault Hunter due to a lot of broken skills that didn't work, and had a very tough time at endgame. He has seen some serious love from Gearbox in changes to his skill trees, fixes, and buffs to his anointments that make him now one of the strongest endgame characters. Zane has a class mod called the Seeing Dead class mod that is arguably the most OP class mod in the game, but it is locked behind a DLC. So if you are getting the DLC with the game, don't worry about it. Zane still has a great time in the game without that class mod, but if you're picking a character, Zane's best class mod is by far locked behind a DLC, just something you should know. What makes Zane unique is he is the only character who can use 2 action skills at a time. Zane sacrifices his grenade, so he cannot throw grenades, but he can have 2 action skills out at a time, and these action skills have different perks that allow him to use grenades, that deploy grenades, so do not worry about it. The 2 skills that Zane can pick from, 2 out of his 3 skills, are his barrier. His barrier is a shield that he can shoot through, and your teammates can shoot through to do amp damage. At a certain level, you can make the shield a dome all around you, and have it take on the effects of the shield you're wearing, but that skill's kind of bugged. His middle tree is all focused on kill skills and uses a drone that flies around called Sentinel. Now, this kill skill tree has received some serious love, and if you like a kill skill playstyle, his blue tree is really powerful, giving him fire rate, movement speed, damage based on his movement speed, and healing. Now, the Seeing Dead class mod that I referenced before is a boost to all these kill skills and makes them easy to access. And lastly, his red tree is a clone tree, where Zane can summon a clone, which he can digi-swap with, and at the highest level, he can give his clone his weapon to use. Now, the clone does reduce damage with the weapon, so if you're looking at that skill, the clone as a damage source is not very good, but for utility, such as unlimited ammo, the clone can be used in creative ways. Zane has a great endgame, has solid leveling, and is a little bit more gear requirement, but once you get Zane working at the highest level, he is an absolute force to be reckoned with and destroys all content. For our last Vault Hunter, we have Moze, the Gunner. Now, Moze has a Iron Bear as her action skill, which is a robot or giant mech that she can jump into. Now, Moze has a solid time leveling because of her Iron Bear that she can jump into as a, oh shoot, I'm low health, jump into the Iron Bear. Now you can kill everything and then jump back out. So solid leveling. She has a more difficult time transitioning into the end game because of her lack of survivability, similar to Flak. Now Moze has good survivability based on grenade damage. Moze gets all of her survivability from grenade damage, and for leveling, it's not that big of a worry, but at the highest tier of the end game, you need the required grenades to be able to stay alive, and for that she is a little bit more difficult. But once you get her gear rolling, she is an absolute monster. Moze's skill trees are focused on splash damage, shield capacity, and having unlimited ammo. Moze has a strong focus of using big guns with big magazines and being able to fire them non-stop, with special perks and bonuses to doing fire damage. Now, if you like explosions, Moze is going to be the character for you, and each tier of her, or each skill tree that she has, augments the weapons on Iron Bear, from rocket launchers to nukes to flamethrowers to bear fists to Gatling guns. However, the Iron Bear, while amazing at leveling and can destroy most badasses, has a more difficult time in the endgame due to recent buffs to the Iron Bear. It's actually quite strong, but a lot of the times it isn't as good as the weapons you'll be using. Now, I have some Iron Bear only Moze builds if you're interested in checking those out, but Moze's Iron Bear interaction can be awkward at the end game because most of her anointments require her to hop into her Iron Bear and then immediately hop out, versus these other Vault Hunters can just use their action skills and get their bonuses. Moze constantly has to go through an entering and exiting Iron Bear animation, which was reported by many players to be frustrating or annoying. Hopefully that'll get fixed soon. But Moze has a great time with rocket launchers, explosives, and once you get her rolling, is an absolute monster. Her biggest requirement is having a suitable grenade to heal yourself off of, which is not as easy as you'd expect because currently the best grenade for her is a purple grenade. That's just a lucky drop. But once you do get that, you can do a lot of damage with her. She is a slower character, while Amara and Zane are fast characters. Zane, or Flak, and Moze have a slower playstyle and slower movement speed. So if you're interested in doing a lot of explosives but moving slower and having a giant mech, Moze is the character for you. Now, in our rankings of the characters, Amara and Zane are currently the top characters and are meta characters, while Flak and Moze are on the lower tier of characters. Now, I don't want this to deter you from picking Flak or Moze or be a reason you pick Amara or Zane, because this will change. But you should base your decision off of what interests you, but I want you guys to be as informed as possible when picking these characters. Amara has not received any changes to her. She's always been very strong and, in my opinion, quite balanced because she does not have any overpowered skills. Flak is a boss killer with crazy bonuses to crit damage and is kind of a kill other enemies before they kill you playstyle. Zane is your gadget user who focuses on cryo damage and freezing enemies, has a lot of bonuses to cryo, but can add cryo to weapons. Zane moves fast, plays fast, and is a lot of fun. Lastly, Moze is your big gun user, your splash damage, your soldier class, and is a lot of fun, causes a lot of chaos, and you can use pretty much any weapon on her and make unlimited magazines with that weapon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new about the Vault Hunters. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Moxsy. I could be your go-to source for all things Borderlands because this is all I do, and I'm very knowledgeable at these things. So if you guys are curious to see more endgame gameplay of these characters and see what builds they can use at the highest level, make sure to check out the video links in the description where I'll have my best builds for each of these characters. With that, guys, take care, enjoy the game, and have fun. Peace!
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in